Sorry about that, took me a second here. I needed a washroom break anyways. So, first up, when you're connecting the power supply cables, you want to of course make sure that if your computer uses a 24-pin power supply, that you have all 24 pins lined up here. And I'm just going to flip that up here. In my case, you won't be able to see it very well. The 24-pin power supply connector is where it is on most of these motherboards. Up over here, it's the largest white slot. In this case, these are again different colors depending on your motherboard. So we're just going to take that, and again, they are keyed. They will only fit in one way. If you are putting it in backwards, it actually will not fit, which is really nice because, of course, for those newbie builders, well, you guys, you don't want to damage anything. So again, sits in, has a little retention clip. Any of these cables, if you can, shove them out of your way. You want to make sure that they're as much out of the way as you can. That way they're not getting in the way of your fan, because if that gets in there, stops your fan from spinning, your computer's going to overheat. So again, this cord we won't be using. Just shove them out of the way there. I'm hoping everybody can see all this here. Next up we have, this one's our PCI Express again. It's got 6 little pins on it here. And actually this one's really nice. It's actually got PCIe labeled right on the side. In this case, PCIe 2, just in case you have 2 of these cards. This will just clip right into the end of your video card. Just goes in there. Again, I don't know if you heard that, it clips in. It will actually lock in. So here we have our additional motherboard power supplies. These ones, of course, you want to be a little creative when you're routing these cables. Will normally be in the upper corner here. A lot of the times you'll see them either up here or over here. So just grab the right ones. This one again has 2 sets of them. These ones are both the same in this instance, just in case your motherboard requires a lot of juice. Sometimes you'll even see 8-pin ones, which are literally like that. They have both of them. You just pop both of them in. So I'm just going to route this little guy in here. This one clips in right here. There we go. Again, try to keep your cables somewhat neat. Make sure that they are not getting in the way of your fan. So we have our hard drive down here. We want to make sure some power gets there. So I'm going to find us a connector here. This one here is for SATA. Again, I'm just going to hold that up so you can clearly see the tip. These tips are designed to only go in one way again, which is really nice. This one here, I'm actually just going to take it down very carefully. And it will just sit right in here. There we go, so it's now clipped in. Take any of your access cables again. I've got mine here. Slide them out of the way. And I'll show you something neat in a couple minutes here. Now I've only got one extra power supply connector in here, which is actually the one for a CD-ROM. Or DVD-ROM, as the case may be. Or if you want to get really fancy, get Blu-ray. Mine is an older DVD drive. It actually uses one of these Molex ones. So that just clips in again. You'll note they're shaped. Don't know how well you'll be able to see this. There's a little bevel here on the corners. They'll only fit in one way. So that just clips right in up here. Again, all your slack cable, find a little spot. Like here, I've actually installed my CD-ROM one bay lower from the top. That way, I have a little spot where I can take all my cables, all the excess there, and just keep shoving it all out of the way. Now you will sometimes end up like this. Big massive hunks of cable left over. You want to get these out of your way. Now I do leave one Molex one because this one actually has a side fan on it. But the other one, again, put up out of the way. There we go. Any of these unused cables, do not cut them. I have actually seen people take wire cutters and clip them. Now if you want to get really fancy, I'm just going to move this one out of the way here. You'll note there's stray cables floating around all over the place here. Looks kind of nasty. You can actually get something called zip ties. You can get these at the dollar store, by the way. And for those of you who have never seen a zip tie, this is a little black one. Actually, it doesn't show up very well. Just get a couple of these. Take your excess cabling. There you go. Take it. A little zip tie. Keeps it out of the way of your fan. If you want to get really, really anal retentive like I do here, I actually use a couple of these. On my desktop computer, which I will give you a little tour of by video here, you'll actually find out there's probably about 30 of these in there. again, holding cables out of the way. So I'm just going to take those. There we go. Those are both clipped in. This is the only thing you should ever use wire cutters for. Always use side cutters, by the way, not those little wee flat nippers at the end, or whatever you want to call them. Because the side cutters, you can very carefully cut off those excess zip ties. That should be the only thing you ever cut in a computer. If you cut anything else, it's nice knowing your computer system, it will probably short out. And once you've got everything in, some of these actually do have a little extra screw in the back. I'm just going to put that in. You got it all nice and neat together. The one thing you will always want to check is with your power supply. On the back there is a small switch. This switch is more or less for safety purposes than anything when you're working on your computer. You want to make sure, of course, it is in the on position. I'm just going to lift the camera up here. Right here. Off, on. We get the point. Now this computer here, as I mentioned, some of them have HDMI. There's a little HDMI port here. Actually, I'll slide this right up. I'll take you for a tour of the back of this one. There's your USB ports again. PS2, that would be for keyboard or mouse. This is a digital audio out. This is actually used with a small fiber optic cable to high-end stereos. HDMI, that is again for high definition television. DVI, higher def monitors. VGA, older monitors. This little red port here you might see on some motherboards, that's actually, eSATA. 2 USB ports, 2 more USB ports. This is your Ethernet port. Here's all your sound outs. Again, with any motherboard, please do me one favor. Consult your manual, people. Your manual is your best friend, and guys, yes, I've heard all that. I know what I'm doing. I've read about it online. I don't care. Read the manual. If you don't read the manual, you are liable to blow something up. I'm just going to shove that cable in here. Of course, the last thing you want to do whenever you're done building your computer system, make sure you put the side panel back on. Now, the first time you hook up your computer system, you can't actually leave this panel off. That way, if you have a problem, something doesn't spin up, something doesn't sound right, cable gets in the way of your fan, whatever, you can actually turn off your computer, troubleshoot it, turn it back on. The only other thing I'm going to mention is this power supply here, you should never, ever, ever, ever open. If you open it, you're liable to get electrically shocked. These actually do hold a charge while the computer is turned off, and even if it has been off for several days. There's a little thing called a capacitor in it. It can hold upwards of 5,000 volts or more. Trust me, they hurt. They actually will melt screwdrivers. Anyway, this concludes this part of the video here. I'm going to actually turn the camera off here and hopefully upload this to YouTube in a minute. If you have any questions about the steps here, what I've shown you about your video card, how to install it, maybe some advanced questions, maybe you want to learn about how chipset can be replaced, whatever, ask. I will more than happily post my answers for you. Anywho, hopefully this has been informative, and look forward to hearing about your first piece.